The classroom on the orbital space station was unlike any on Earth. Transparent walls showed the swirling colors of nearby nebulae, and the hum of engines reminded everyone that they were far from home. Holographic projectors filled the room with 3D images of ancient civilizations, their leaders, and battles long forgotten. Students leaned forward, eyes wide with curiosity, as the teacher prepared the next lesson. "Today," said Professor Kalin, adjusting his sleeve, "we study one of Earth's most famous periods, the era of the ancient warlords. You will each examine these figures and learn to identify them by their actions, strategies, and symbols. Pay attention. Some of these leaders changed the course of human history," the students murmured in excitement. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing armored figures on horseback, generals pointing at maps, and armies clashing on open fields. Each image was detailed enough to see every fold of a robe, every scar on a face, and every insignia of rank. Lena, a quiet girl with dark hair pulled into a tight braid, sat in the middle of the class. She had always loved history, not just because it told stories of the past, but because she felt it sometimes spoke directly to her. She studied the projections carefully, her fingers tracing patterns in the air as she adjusted the images to view them from different angles. The teacher activated a special module. "Now," Professor Kalin said, "I want you to identify the leaders I show you. The first is known for his cunning strategies and his ability to unite clans under one banner." The hologram shifted, revealing a stern man with piercing eyes and a long beard. He wore ceremonial armor and carried a sword with intricate designs. Lena's heart skipped a beat. The man's eyes, though frozen in the hologram, seemed familiar. She leaned closer, trying to understand why the image felt so personal. "Is everyone ready?" the professor asked, scanning the room. Students nodded. "Who can tell me the name of this warlord?" he asked. One by one, students guessed names from their textbooks, names of rulers who conquered lands, led armies, and left behind ruins. Most guesses were wrong. Lena remained silent, staring at the figure. Something about him stirred a memory she couldn't quite place. Then, softly, she said, almost to herself, "You're showing my grandfather." The room fell silent. Students turned their heads, some giggling nervously. Professor Kalin froze. "Excuse me?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Lena smiled. A small, knowing smile. "I know it sounds strange, sir. But this man, he is my grandfather." The professor blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. "Your grandfather?" he repeated. "Are you joking?" "No, sir," Lena said calmly. "I've seen his face in old family records. His name, his armor, everything matches." A low murmur spread through the room. Whispers of amazement and disbelief floated between the students. Could it be possible? Could someone actually recognize a figure from thousands of years ago as a relative? Professor Kalin approached Lena's desk, his curiosity clearly piqued. "Tell me more," he said gently. "How can you be so certain?" Lena took a deep breath and explained what she had found in her family records. Digital files passed down through generations. These records were more than names and dates. They contained stories, strategies, and accounts of battles fought long before the era of space stations and interstellar travel. Her family had preserved the memory of a man who had been more than a warlord. He was a strategist, a leader, and a visionary. The professor listened intently, clearly impressed. "If what you say is true," he said slowly, "then this is not just history, it is living memory. You carry knowledge that even our most advanced AI systems cannot fully understand." Lena's cheeks flushed slightly at the praise. She had always loved history, but she had never expected it to become so personal, so immediate. Around her, students whispered in awe, some leaning forward to look closer at the hologram. Even the AI that powered the projection seemed to pause, recalculating, as if surprised that a human could recognize something it could not analyze. After a moment, the professor turned back to the class. "This is exactly why we study history," he said. "History is not just about facts. It is about understanding the people who shaped our world, their choices, their courage, and their ideas. And sometimes, it is about discovering how those lessons live within us today. The rest of the lesson passed in a blur for Lena. She watched as the hologram continued to display other warlords, but her mind kept returning to the first figure. She traced his armor, studied his posture, and imagined the battles he must have fought. She could almost hear the clash of swords and the shouts of soldiers echoing across the fields of Earth centuries ago. Her classmates tried to focus on their own work, but Lena noticed subtle glances in her direction. Some looked impressed, some confused, and some curious. It was clear that her recognition of the warlord had sparked more than just personal insight. It had reminded everyone that humans, even in a galaxy full of advanced technology and alien civilizations, still carried a unique spark. By the end of the lesson, the students had recorded their observations, but Lena lingered. She returned to the hologram, spinning it slowly, examining every detail. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of the space station. Outside, the stars shone bright against the darkness of space, and Lena felt a strange connection not just to the past, but to the future. She knew that this was only the beginning. If a memory of her grandfather could survive thousands of years and remain clear enough for her to recognize, then perhaps humanity's legacy was far more enduring than anyone had imagined. And in that moment, she smiled not just at the man on the hologram, but at the thought that humans, with their courage, creativity, and wisdom, could leave a mark that no machine or alien intelligence could erase. As the classroom emptied, Professor Kalin approached her once more. "Lena," he said quietly, "you may not realize it yet, but what you just shared is extraordinary. Keep studying. Keep remembering. You may be showing us the way humans continue to shape the universe." Lena nodded, her eyes on the hologram that now seemed almost alive. "I will, sir," she said, and deep inside, she felt a quiet pride, a pride not only in her grandfather but in the human spirit that had carried his memory across centuries and galaxies. The lesson was over, but Lena knew her journey was just beginning. After the unusual classroom incident, Lena could not stop thinking about her grandfather. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw his face in the hologram, the stern eyes, the strong jaw, and the way he carried himself as if every decision mattered. But it was more than just memory. It was as if his spirit whispered to her, guiding her thoughts and curiosity. She decided to visit the station's archive, a vast hall filled with glowing databases and floating holographic screens. Unlike the classroom, this place was quiet and almost sacred. Historians, researchers, and students worked together, uncovering stories of humanity's past and the civilizations that humans had touched even beyond Earth. Lena approached the AI librarian, a sleek system that scanned her identification badge. "Hello, Lena," it said in a calm, even voice. "How can I assist you today?" "I want to research my family," Lena said. "Specifically, the warlord my class saw today." The AI paused, its digital sensors flickering as if intrigued. "Your request is unusual. Family lineages from that era are incomplete or lost." "Are you certain?" "Yes," Lena replied firmly. "I have some old records at home, but I want to compare them with official archives." The AI hummed softly, then opened a pathway of floating holographic documents. Names, dates, maps, and ancient battle strategies appeared in midair. Lena's eyes widened as she traced the lines of her grandfather's life. He had not been just a warlord. He had been a strategist, a leader who united divided clans, and a thinker who recorded his own methods for future generations. As she read, Lena realized something extraordinary. Her grandfather had predicted problems before they happened, had avoided unnecessary conflicts, and had built alliances where others saw enemies. Even centuries later, his strategies could teach lessons to anyone who studied them carefully. "This is incredible," Lena whispered to herself. "He was brilliant." She spent hours comparing her family records with the station's archives. Every detail matched his victories, his decisions, and even the personal notes he had left about leadership and humanity. Lena felt a strange pride. Humans had always been told that they were just one species among many, that other civilizations were faster, stronger, or smarter. Yet here was proof that her grandfather, an ordinary human, had accomplished extraordinary things. While Lena worked, other students began to notice her focus. Some leaned over her shoulder, whispering questions. "Is that your grandfather?" one asked. Lena nodded. "Yes. And I think there's more to learn. Humans from that time were clever, brave, and creative. I think their legacy is stronger than we realize." The whispers grew louder. Even the historians in the room paused, curious about the girl who had uncovered so much knowledge on her own. Later, Professor Kalen came to check on her. "You're spending a lot of time here," he said with a smile. "But I can see why. What you've discovered is remarkable. It's not just history, it's evidence of what humans are capable of." Lena looked at him, her eyes bright. "I've always believed humans are special. We adapt, we learn, and we create. But I didn't know how much until I saw his records. Humans can do things no AI or alien intelligence could predict." The professor nodded. "That is the truth. You are seeing what the galaxy often forgets. Human ingenuity is timeless. And sometimes, it takes someone like you to remind everyone." Encouraged, Lena began experimenting with simulations based on her grandfather's strategies. She arranged virtual battles and scenarios, testing alliances, resource management, and conflict resolutions. Her results were remarkable. Not only did she predict outcomes that even the AI systems missed, but her solutions were often more efficient and humane. Her classmates, once skeptical, now looked at her with admiration. They realized that Lena's knowledge was not just inherited, it was alive in her mind. She could think like her grandfather, understand strategy in ways that others could not, and adapt those lessons to new challenges. That evening, Lena returned to her quarters and pulled out an old family journal. The pages were yellowed and fragile, filled with careful handwriting and detailed maps. She traced the lines with her fingers, imagining the life her grandfather had lived. She thought about the decisions he had made and the lives he had influenced. And then she wondered, what if humans still carried that power, even now? What if ordinary people, working together, could achieve what no single alien or machine could? Lena felt a spark of determination. She would not just study history, she would live it. Days passed, and Lena's reputation on the station grew. More students came to her for guidance. Curious about the methods of her grandfather, some tried to challenge her in simulations. But she always found a way to adapt. Her strategies were not about brute force or clever tricks. They were about understanding people, making alliances, and thinking creatively. One afternoon, the station received a message from a neighboring planet. An exploratory team requested human guidance for a complex problem. The local species were struggling to manage resources and avoid conflict. Lena's instructors hesitated, unsure if they should allow a student to lead, but Lena stepped forward confidently. "I want to try," she said. "I think humans can help. We've always adapted, solved problems, and found solutions others overlook. My grandfather's methods may inspire new ways of thinking." The station council agreed, albeit cautiously. Lena prepared simulations, reviewing every lesson she had learned from the archives and her family records. She considered strategies, diplomacy, and cooperation, all the qualities that had defined her grandfather's leadership. When she finally presented her plan, the council members were impressed. It was not just practical, it was inspired. Lena had combined ancient human wisdom with modern technology, creating solutions that no AI alone could generate. That night, Lena looked out at the stars again, feeling a connection across time. Her grandfather's spirit seemed alive, guiding her. She realized that humanity's power was not just in machines or weapons, but in the mind, the heart, and the courage to act. She whispered softly, "I will carry your lessons forward. Humans can still make a difference, just like you did." And as the stars glimmered beyond the space station, Lena understood something important. Humans were not ordinary. They were adaptable, clever, and determined. And no matter where they went in the universe, their legacy could continue just as her grandfathers had. Lena smiled, knowing that this was only the beginning of her journey. The day had begun like any other aboard the space station. Holograms floated over desks, students discussed their assignments, and the hum of engines filled the background. Yet, Lena felt different. Today, she was not just a student learning history, she was a living connection to it. Her grandfather's strategies and leadership were no longer distant lessons. They were part of her, guiding her decisions and understanding. Professor Kalin had planned a special exercise for the class. "We will run a strategic simulation," he announced, "based on historical conflicts. Each team will lead their forces, make decisions, and see how their choices impact the outcome. Remember, creativity and insight are more valuable than brute force." Students grouped together, adjusting their holographic consoles. Lena's team included her friends Tariq, Mira, and Joran, each eager to prove their skill. They watched as the simulation unfolded, a scenario where a small human settlement faced threats from hostile forces while needing to build alliances with neighboring clans. While others focused on moving armies and upgrading equipment, Lena observed patterns. She noticed the weaknesses of the opposing forces, the strengths of the friendly clans, and opportunities to negotiate before a battle even began. Her mind traced paths her grandfather might have chosen centuries ago. "Let's hold our forces here," Lena suggested calmly, pointing at a strategic hill. "From this position, we can control the river and protect the village. Instead of attacking immediately, we should negotiate with the neighboring clans. They might join us willingly." Tariq frowned. "Negotiate? We can crush them with our tech. Why waste time talking?" Lena smiled. "Because alliances last longer than victories gained by force. Sometimes, brains are stronger than weapons." Mira and Joran hesitated, then followed her lead. Lena issued orders, combining tactical maneuvers with diplomacy. Slowly, their simulated forces grew stronger. Allies joined their side, and the enemy's progress slowed. The classroom filled with tension as other teams watched. They tried to anticipate Lena's moves, but she always stayed one step ahead, predicting outcomes no AI system had warned them about. The simulation ended with Lena's team achieving a peaceful yet powerful victory, protecting the settlement, gaining allies, and keeping casualties to a minimum. Professor Kalin's eyes widened. "Remarkable," he said. "Lena, your strategy demonstrates something unique. You combine human intuition, knowledge, and creativity in ways that machines cannot replicate. You are thinking like a true leader." Her classmates looked at her with awe. Some whispered about her grandfather, others about the mysterious talent she seemed to carry. For the first time, Lena understood that human potential went beyond intelligence or technology. It was about imagination, adaptability, and the ability to inspire others. After class, Lena stayed behind to review the simulation. The station corridors were quiet, and the soft glow of the nebula outside made everything feel magical. She opened the historical archives again, studying her grandfather's notes. The parallels between her decisions and his teachings amazed her. Even the smallest choices reflected centuries of human wisdom. Suddenly, a message appeared on her console. It was from the station council. "We have an unusual request from the neighboring planetary system. They require assistance in strategic planning. Your skills have been noted. Participation is requested." Lena's heart raced. This was the first time her abilities would be tested beyond simulations. She remembered her grandfather's stories of leadership, how one person's choices could change the fate of many. Now, she had the chance to demonstrate that human ingenuity, even in a galaxy filled with advanced beings, was still extraordinary. She prepared for the mission, reviewing data about the neighboring system. The planets were mostly peaceful, but recent disputes over resources had created tension. Lena studied maps, population centers, and trade routes. She identified potential allies, risks, and opportunities for negotiation. Her plan was not about confrontation, it was about understanding, strategy, and careful decision-making. When she presented her plan to the council, their skepticism was evident. "You are young," one council member said. "How can a single student handle such responsibility?" "I am not alone," Lena replied firmly. "Humans have always solved complex problems by thinking together, by adapting, and by using wisdom and creativity. I will lead, but I will rely on others, just as my grandfather did." After careful deliberation, the council agreed. Lena was allowed to participate as the lead strategist, supported by a team of human experts and a few trusted advisors from other species. The mission began with a series of meetings with local leaders. Lena applied her grandfather's lessons. She listened carefully, identified common goals, and suggested compromises that seemed fair. Slowly, the neighboring factions began to trust her guidance. Her ability to read people, predict reactions, and find solutions surprised everyone, even the most experienced diplomats. Meanwhile, back on the station, her classmates followed the mission's progress. Many were inspired. They realized that humans were not just learners, they could be leaders, problem solvers, and innovators on a galactic scale. Lena's success became a symbol of what humanity could achieve when creativity and courage were combined. During one critical moment, a misunderstanding threatened to undo days of progress. One faction accused another of secretly plotting against them, and tensions flared. Lena stayed calm. She consulted the archives, thought about her grandfather's approaches, and proposed a clever compromise that addressed both sides' concerns. Slowly, suspicion gave way to agreement, and the mission stayed on course. By the end of the day, Lena had secured peace, strengthened alliances, and demonstrated a skill that few humans or aliens could match. The council praised her. "You have shown that human wisdom and ingenuity are invaluable. Your grandfather's legacy lives on, but you have made it your own." Lena smiled quietly. She knew that her journey was far from over, but this experience proved something important. Humans were extraordinary. Across time and space, their courage, intelligence, and adaptability had always set them apart. And now, in a galaxy of possibilities, Lena was ready to carry that legacy forward. As she gazed out of the station window at the endless stars, she thought of her grandfather. His lessons had shaped her, but it was her choices, her courage, and her creativity that would define the future. Humans were not just a species, they were a force capable of making a difference wherever they went. For the first time, Lena felt truly connected not just to her family, not just to history, but to the limitless potential of humanity itself. And with that realization, she knew the universe was only beginning to see what humans could achieve. Life aboard the space station had settled into a steady rhythm after Lena's successful mission with the neighboring planetary system. Students still whispered about her skills, and even the AI system seemed to treat her with an extra layer of respect. But peace rarely lasted long in the galaxy. One morning, the station's sensors detected unusual activity near a nearby star system. Small fleets of alien ships moved in patterns that suggested reconnaissance, or perhaps preparation for something more serious. The station council convened an emergency meeting. "We have visitors," said Admiral Tyron, the council's leader. "They are monitoring our station. Their intent is unknown, but we cannot ignore it. We must prepare." Lena listened carefully. The aliens were known as the Virelians, a species famous for efficiency, intelligence, and strict adherence to rules. They had never threatened humans before, but their movements suggested that they were testing defenses. Professor Kalen turned to Lena. "Your experience with strategy could help us," he said. "Can you assist in preparing a plan? Can you assist in preparing a plan? Can you assist in preparing a plan?" Lena nodded. Her grandfather's lessons were clear in her mind. Understanding the opponent, predicting their moves, and finding solutions that did not rely solely on force. "We should start by observing their patterns," she said. "We need to know what they value and how they make decisions. Then, we can plan carefully." A team of humans and allied species was assembled. Lena worked tirelessly, analyzing sensor data, studying fleet movements, and creating simulations to anticipate possible actions. Her classmates watched in awe as she moved through complex calculations and scenarios, her intuition guiding decisions in ways no AI could replicate. Hours later, a meeting was held to present her plan. The council members leaned forward as Lena spoke, her voice steady and confident. "We cannot underestimate them," she said. "But we also do not need to start a war. Humans have a history of solving conflicts through strategy, negotiation, and adaptability. We should use those strengths now. I propose a two-part plan. First, strengthen our defenses where they are likely to test us. Second, reach out to establish communication. Show them that humans are resourceful and clever, but also willing to cooperate." The council members nodded, impressed. "Proceed," Admiral Tyron said. "We trust your judgment." Lena's plan was implemented immediately. Shield systems were enhanced, fleet patrols were strategically positioned, and communication channels were prepared for contact. Every detail had a purpose. Every action, a reason. Lena thought of her grandfather again, remembering how he had united divided clans by understanding their motives and showing wisdom rather than aggression. When the Varelian fleet arrived, tensions were high. The aliens tested the station's defenses with small probes, scanning for weaknesses. Lena anticipated each move, guiding human forces to respond without escalating the situation. Her strategies were subtle but effective, demonstrating that humans could be clever, patient, and adaptable. Finally, a Varelian ambassador requested a meeting. Lena was chosen to participate, along with senior council members. The alien's appearance was intimidating, with tall, angular bodies and eyes that seemed to measure every detail. Yet Lena remained calm. She remembered her grandfather's lessons. Listen first. Understand motives. Then, act. "Welcome," Lena said in a clear voice. "We understand you have questions about our station. We are happy to discuss and cooperate. Humans value intelligence, creativity, and fairness. We hope to show you that our intentions are peaceful." The ambassador's eyes narrowed, studying her. Lena continued, explaining the station's purpose, its research, and the humans' efforts to maintain peace. She offered examples of successful collaborations between species, emphasizing logic and strategy rather than power. The discussion was tense, but Lena's insight gradually won their respect. The Varelians began to see that humans were not just reactive, they could think, adapt, and plan in ways no machine or rigid system could predict. Over the next few days, Lena worked tirelessly with the aliens to address concerns and propose joint solutions. Each negotiation highlighted human creativity, problem-solving, and diplomacy. The Varelians, initially cautious, started to appreciate the humans' resourcefulness. They realized that human adaptability, intuition, and ingenuity were strengths that could not be ignored. Meanwhile, Lena's classmates and fellow students observed her work with pride. They saw that humans were capable of leadership on a galactic scale. Lena's calm approach, inspired by her grandfather's lessons, proved that courage, intelligence, and cooperation were just as important as any technology. At one point, a small crisis threatened to derail the negotiations. A Varelian probe malfunctioned, sending false signals that suggested an attack. Panic spread through the station, but Lena remained composed. She quickly analyzed the data, identified the error, and corrected the problem before anyone could react aggressively. Her foresight prevented a potential disaster. After the crisis was resolved, the Varelians openly acknowledged human skill. "Your species is remarkable," the ambassador admitted. "You think, adapt, and solve problems in ways few others can. It is clear that humans have a special talent for strategy and cooperation." Lena felt a quiet pride. Her grandfather's teachings had guided her, but it was her choices and human instincts that had made the difference. The Varelians agreed to peaceful cooperation, and the threat to the station was neutralized without a single shot being fired. That evening, Lena returned to the observation deck, staring out at the stars. She thought of the countless generations of humans who had faced challenges, overcome obstacles, and built civilizations with courage and creativity. The galaxy was full of intelligent species. Yet humans' unique spirit had once again proven its value. Professor Kalen joined her. "You handled that brilliantly," he said. "Not just the strategy, but the diplomacy, the calm thinking, the insight. Humans truly are extraordinary." Lena smiled, her eyes reflecting the nebulae outside. "It's not just me," she said. "It's all of us. Humans carry lessons, courage, and creativity that no one else can match. My grandfather showed me the way, but we all share this legacy." For the first time, Lena felt a profound connection to her species. Across time and space, humans had always adapted, solved problems, and inspired others. And now, in a galaxy full of challenges, they had proven once again that their spirit was strong, their minds were clever, and their legacy was enduring. The stars outside glimmered like a promise. Lena knew that humanity's journey was far from over. There would be challenges ahead, new civilizations to meet, and new problems to solve. But one thing was certain. Humans, with their courage, ingenuity, and wisdom, would continue to leave a mark on the universe just as her grandfather had centuries ago. And in that quiet moment, Lena smiled, ready to face whatever came next. The galaxy had seen the strength of humans, and it had only begun to understand their potential. The space station had returned to its usual calm. But Lena knew that calm was temporary. The galaxy was vast, filled with intelligent species, new discoveries, and unexpected challenges. Yet for the first time, Lena felt confident, not just in herself, but in the power of humanity. Humans had faced the impossible before, and they would do it again. The station council had called a meeting to honor Lena and her team for their recent work with the Varelians. Representatives from allied species, students, and historians were present. The room hummed with anticipation. Admiral Tyron addressed the assembly. "Today, we recognize not only Lena's skill, but the spirit of humanity itself. Time and again, humans have demonstrated courage, intelligence, and adaptability. They have solved problems no machine or alien strategy could. Lena is a symbol of that legacy." Lena felt her cheeks flush with pride. She had always known humans were capable, but hearing it acknowledged across species was something new. She glanced at her classmates, who beamed at her, and then at Professor Kalen, who gave her a quiet nod of encouragement. After the ceremony, Lena returned to the observation deck. She stared out at the stars, reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. From a classroom hologram to leading negotiations with alien species, she had learned more than she ever imagined, and she realized something important. It was not just her grandfather's lessons that mattered, it was humanity itself. She thought about the countless humans who had shaped history. Explorers who charted new worlds, thinkers who solved impossible problems, and leaders who united divided people. The galaxy had often underestimated humans, yet time and again, humans had shown that creativity, courage, and collaboration could overcome any challenge. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft chime. A message appeared on her console, marked as urgent. It was from the neighboring planetary system. Request for assistance. A rare, natural event threatens multiple colonies. Your guidance is requested. Lena smiled. This was her chance to continue applying what she had learned. She gathered her team, Tariq, Mira, and Joran, and began analyzing the situation. The event was unusual but predictable if studied carefully. Lena applied her grandfather's strategic methods, combined with her own observations and creativity. Maps, simulations, and data filled the room as Lena worked. She identified risks, proposed safety measures, and coordinated communication between the colonies. Her calm confidence inspired her team, who quickly adapted to her guidance. As the day unfolded, the natural event, a series of intense solar storms, approached the colonies. Lena's preparations ensured that each settlement had protection, that resources were distributed efficiently, and that evacuations, if necessary, were orderly. By the time the storms reached the planets, minimal damage occurred. Reports came in praising the effectiveness of the plan. "Your guidance saved lives," one colony leader wrote. "Your strategy shows the wisdom and creativity of humans. We are grateful." Lena felt a deep sense of accomplishment. Humans were not just surviving, they were thriving, influencing the galaxy through intelligence, compassion, and adaptability. And her grandfather's legacy was part of that story, a bridge connecting the past to the present and future. That evening, Lena walked through the station's gardens, a quiet place filled with plants from Earth and other worlds. The lights from distant stars reflected on the water, creating a sense of serenity. Professor Kalen joined her. "You have done more than I could have imagined," he said. "Not just in strategy, but in showing everyone what humans are capable of. You've proven that humanity's legacy is alive and well." Lena nodded. "It's not just me. Humans carry this potential in every choice we make, every challenge we face. My grandfather taught me that courage, creativity, and intelligence can last through centuries. I see now that it is true for all humans." Professor Kalen smiled. "And now, you are part of that legacy. What you do today will inspire generations. You are living proof that humans can make a difference, no matter the time or place." Lena continued walking, thinking about what she had learned. Humanity's journey was far from over. There were new civilizations to meet, new challenges to solve, and new worlds to explore. But she knew one thing. Humans were ready. Their ingenuity, adaptability, and spirit would guide them through any obstacle. Over the next weeks, Lena became a mentor for other students. She shared her experiences, encouraging them to think creatively, to collaborate, and to trust in their own abilities. Her stories of strategy, negotiation, and leadership inspired students across the station. They realized that they too could leave a mark on the galaxy. One evening, Lena returned to her family records, placing them carefully on the table. She traced her grandfather's notes and maps, thinking about how far humanity had come, from ancient Earth to the far reaches of space. Humans had always adapted, solved problems, and inspired others. And now, she was part of that story. She whispered softly, "Thank you, grandfather. You showed me the way. I will continue what you began, and I will help humanity leave a mark in the stars." As the space station rotated, revealing new constellations and distant galaxies, Lena understood the truth. Humanity was extraordinary. Their courage, wisdom, and creativity could shape the future, bridge gaps between civilizations, and leave a lasting legacy across time and space. And for Lena, the journey was just beginning. She would explore new worlds, solve new problems, and inspire others, carrying forward the lessons of the past. Her grandfather's wisdom had given her a foundation, but it was her choices, her courage, and the human spirit that would define what came next. From the quiet classrooms of the station to the vast reaches of the galaxy, humans had proven themselves remarkable. They could adapt, think, and lead in ways no one expected. Lena smiled, ready to face the universe, knowing that the legacy of humanity was secure and that it would shine for generations to come. The stars outside glittered like a promise, each one a reminder that humans had a place among them, not just as observers, but as innovators, leaders, and pioneers. And in that realization, Lena found peace, pride, and determination. Humanity had always been capable of greatness, and now, the galaxy knew it too. With her team beside her and the galaxy ahead, Lena felt ready for whatever challenges came next. She was not just a student or a strategist, she was a symbol of humanity's enduring legacy, and she would continue to show the universe what humans could achieve. The lesson had begun with a hologram, a simple classroom exercise. But it had become a journey, a discovery, and a demonstration of the true power of humans. And Lena knew that the story was far from over. Humans were extraordinary. Their courage, intelligence, and creativity would guide them across the stars. And with every choice, every action, and every challenge, they would continue to prove it just as her grandfather had done centuries ago.